Hello my dears, this video is going to be a lot, so content warning for abuse, consent, shock therapy, conversion therapy, gaslighting, and everything else in that category. My goal is to get through this without crying, but I don't have high hopes, so we'll see. Either way, it's an important conversation. So ABA, or Applied Behavioral Analysis, is a type of therapy commonly used for autistic children. ABA EDU defines it as the practice of applying the psychological principles of learning theory in a systematic way to alter behavior in humans or animals. The practice is used extensively in education, healthcare, animal training, and business management. It is particularly prominent in the treatment of autism spectrum disorder, ASD, for which it is one of the only scientifically valid therapies available. It was created in the 1960s by Dr. Ivar Lovaas, who used electric shocks to prevent autistic children from doing their repetitive behaviors. It was his goal to cure autism, and he is quoted as saying, "You start pretty much from scratch when you work with an autistic child. You have a person in the physical sense. They have hair, a nose, and a mouth, but they're not people in the psychological sense. One way to look at the job of helping autistic kids is to see it as a matter of constructing a person. You have the raw materials, but you have to build the person." At the same time he was developing ABA, he was also involved with developing gay conversion therapy, something that is illegal in 19 states, which is almost identical in its methods, though he did not use electroshock on his gay patients. ABA has been connected with increased rates of PTSD, depression, and suicide in autistic adults. Many people call ABA dog training for children since it is a form of operant conditioning, but in the words of a professional dog trainer, ABA is not dog training for children. I would never treat a dog that way. Dog training includes a focus on the dog's well-being, clear communication, and the point of view of the dog. ABA ignores the point of view of the child altogether and aligns instead with the interests of society, not with those of the child. Yes, it may make them seem to make more eye contact and be more verbal, but at what cost? Gay conversion therapy doesn't make people not gay, it just makes them ashamed of who they're attracted to. And ABA is like that, but for every single aspect of who the person is. So here's how it works. It starts with pairing. Pairing is the trust-building phase, where kids are showered with gifts and love, and sessions are mostly play, and kids often genuinely look forward to it. Then it switches to using these positive things as reinforcement for good behavior. What does ABA categorize as good behavior, you ask? Eye contact, not stimming, being verbal, etc. If the child does not comply, the therapists ignore, physically force, or take away positive things like toys and food and books. Typical regulatory processes such as stimming and delving into special interests are suddenly being used only as rewards. If a child lashes out or tries to set boundaries, they are ignored. The only way to continue to get the gifts and love and attention they want is to blindly comply. The only way to get the small moments of joy is to dull yourself to the pain of what you need to do. It makes you connect this love and compassion with this pain and betrayal, and you're taught that the way that you feel doesn't matter, that your communication and discomfort don't matter. The way you express joy, sadness, pain doesn't matter. The way you regulate your emotions does not matter. You are incorrect. Your existence makes other people uncomfortable. Your boundaries don't matter. Your protests of pain are unimportant. You don't know how to live your own life. You need to be independent, but in a way that fully relies on other people because other people know better than you do. And whether this therapy intends to or not, that's the impact that this treatment has. It's extinguishing the behavior without looking at the source of why that behavior is taking place. It treats you like you are not the person, but the project. Autistic people are already vulnerable to abuse and manipulation and maltreatment, and ABA trains us to normalize these kinds of situations. And this treatment isn't just 1 hour a week, it's 40 hours a week. Any adult in that kind of environment 40 hours a week would just break. Imagine what that's like for a child. They may seem better and higher functioning on the outside, but that's just the behavior. And it ignores how hollowed out that person has become. Look, I haven't explicitly gone through ABA treatment since, as you know from my diagnosis story video, I am late diagnosed, but I've had this exact experience. At age 8, I was part of an OCD and GID study that used a lot of these tactics. They told me my fears were irrational or wrong and would force me to do things I didn't want to, and then at the end rewarded me with a toy from the prize box. And I kept doing it because I had a list of all the pieces from the prize box that I wanted to earn. But eventually it got too hard and too scary, and I continuously lied that they cured me until they let me stop coming back. From then on, I was afraid to share what I was feeling for fear of being sent back there. 10 years later, I ended up in that position again. Someone well-meaning with a lot of love and compassion treating me as a project. A relationship full of I love you, but. I used to brag that my girlfriend was magical because she made me step out of my comfort zone and loosen up and try new things. I was proud of my achievements and I didn't think to connect them to the drastic increase in migraines and panic attacks I was having. I didn't realize that these things I was doing for praise were getting rid of every single piece of who I was. I didn't realize I was doing things I didn't want to, but I said that I did because it was the only way I got praise. And I didn't know how to introspect or understand what I was feeling because at age 8, I was told that what I felt was irrational and didn't matter. I was so focused on changing my behavior that I deleted all of my coping mechanisms, and when I didn't have that caregiver anymore, I simply disintegrated, and it nearly cost me my life. And that was at age 18. That was a relationship I could walk away from. And it took a lot of research and work on my own to figure out what was going on and be able to move forward. Now imagine doing that to your own 3-year-old child. They can't walk away. They don't know what other supports they have for themselves. They only know that their mom will pay attention to them if they force eye contact, no matter how unsafe it makes them feel. They may seem excited to go to therapy. They may seem like they're making progress because they're stepping out of their comfort zone, but I've been in that situation, and I thought I was happy and that I was branching out. But I was actually making myself more miserable and ill and hollow until I finally broke. And when I did, I didn't have any pieces of me left to build back up. It may seem like it's different now, that it's not the old ABA, and that a therapist would never hurt my child, that they have the best intentions, and that may be true, but the essence of what is happening is still the same. It hasn't changed. No matter how they advertise it, the core of ABA will always be gaslighting and silencing and abuse and changing behavior to some version of normal that we aren't meant to be. It's taking our coping skills away without replacing them. No matter what the intention is, this kind of treatment and training has long-term damaging effects on a person's psyche. I acknowledge that the outcome looks good on the outside. I can't deny that it's beneficial to be potty trained and to not hit your head against a wall to cope. And maybe other methods don't work as well. But there are other ways of getting your kid to this point. It may take more time and more effort, but at least it's not taking away their coping mechanisms and personality and replacing them with a manufactured one. It's not beating you until you break and become hollow. What your child needs is love and compassion and someone to tell them how to use words to explain their feelings. Parents want what's best for their children. I know, and I know that ABA is advertised as what's best, and I know that alternatives like CBT and occupational therapy often aren't covered by insurance, while ABA is. I get that ABA makes it seem like we're better and being more ready for the real world. I understand the fear that the world won't be kind to us because of who we are. I understand the desire to make us fit in so the world will be nicer. But no matter how hard we try, the world will never be perfectly accepting of us. We will always be different, and hiding these pieces only increases our pain and confusion in the world. The best way to ensure that we are ready for this world is to teach us to be proud of our identity, to be confident in ourselves and our differences and feel safe to be ourselves, to build us up and to teach us coping skills that work for us, to nudge us out of our comfort zone, but respect our boundaries when we say no. If we feel safe and comfortable enough to recharge, we're so much more likely to reach out and branch out ourselves. And kids understand more than you think. Have a conversation. Tell them that they're different and explain why. Explain that the world isn't always accepting, but that it's still okay to be who they are. Listen to what autistic adults are telling you. There are other ways of parenting, ones that don't set us up for failure. And many of us are happy to help and give advice and share our experiences. When it comes down to it, spend the time focusing on the root of the person rather than what they look like on the outside. Don't try to make them neurotypical. Try to make them a better them. That's how you get them ready for the world. Thank you so much for watching this. I know there's a lot of confusion and misinformation out there, and I really appreciate that you've taken the time to learn from my story and my experiences and the experiences of autistic adults. And please, please share it. Also, on a lighter note, this Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm releasing the official music video for Start Over, which will, hopefully, we know how the last one went, be premiering at the link that is in the description. I worked really hard on this one, and I cannot wait to share this story with you all. Anyway, I hope to see you there, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.